Hi, my name is Adam, metric number ZP04336.
Hi, my name is Mohamad Berhad, metric number is ZP04301.
Hi, I'm Sharifah Muriza, metric number ZP04346.
Hi everyone, I'm Mugi and this is my metric number ZP04313.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everybody. So now is our turn to present our group assignment for Managerial Finance subject for Dr. Rasidah. So we choose two companies to make a case study, and the title of our group assignment today will be a case study of Asia Group Berhad and also Asia X Financial Principle. So we must know the content of the case study. I'll go through the content. And the objective of this content, of course, I'll talk it later. Introduction, stockholder analysis, risk and return, investment return, capital structure, dividend policy, valuation, analysis of the firm, and of course, the summary. Of course, we need to know the objective of this study case. Obviously, to apply many of the principles of managerial finance developed in class to the real firm. So the introduction of our case study will be, we will cover the sector of aviation, and of course these two major companies which is in aviation, Asia Group Berhad and also Asia X Berhad. Why we cover these two groups? Obviously, Asia Group Berhad will cover the domestic sector and Asia X Berhad will cover the international sector.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Now I am going to talk about the stockholder analysis. Asia and Asia X are both a Malaysian-based investment holding company. Asia X focuses more on the low-cost airlines for domestic route in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, India and Japan. Asia X focuses more on providing long-haul air transportation services in the geographical segment of North Asia, Australia, West Asia and the Middle East. It currently serves more than 20 countries worldwide. The additional component that Asia X provides is that it engages in the provision of engine leasing facilities, management and logistical and marketing services, and aircraft leasing via its subsidiary. Stockholder analysis from the perspective of the board of directors, we can see that Asia and Asia X both consist of 7 board of directors. If we go to Asia X and Asia, we can see that there are 2 prominent persons in these 2 organizations. They are Datuk Kamarudin bin Maranun and Tan Sri Tony Fernandez. Both of them are the major stockholders for Asia and Asia X. In Asia, we can also see that there is an artist or a very young Malaysian entrepreneur, Nilofa. And on Asia X, we have Tan Sri Rasidah Aziz, a very famous Malaysian public figure. The two of them will help to uplift the confidence of investors in Asia and Asia X. Stockholder analysis from the perspective of company-owned stocks. In Asia, the 2 top companies are Tune Life Sdn Berhad and Tune Air Sdn Berhad. On Asia X, we have Tune Group Sdn Berhad and Asia Group Berhad. Now we are going to look at the risk and return of Asia and Asia X. This graph will show you the price volatility of Asia and Asia X at the bottom. If we look at the firm's beta, Asia has a beta of 3.02 and Asia X has a beta of 1.77. These beta are calculated from the year 2017 to 2018. When we come to the risk analysis, we know that Asia and Asia X are both performing above the market beta. The risk is higher with Asia because the beta is higher than Asia X. And in terms of the volatility in relation to the market compared to the Asia X, Asia has a higher volatility. of the contributing factors towards the price, we know that the oil price hike, it will have the impact on the staff load factor, foreign exchange gain, labor costs, maintenance, finance, income tax expenses, and additionally to AirAsia Act, it is also the inability for them to secure international route landing rights. If we look at the changes in this risk profile, these risk profiles are not something that is permanent. It can change as the prices progress. But we can see that it will change over the years with regards to the contributing factors that we have discussed earlier. Now let us look at the WACC for AirAsia and AirAsia X. If you look at the calculation in summary, the AirAsia has a WACC of 0.1762 and AirAsia X has a WACC of 0.1027. In summary, when we look at the risk of the two firms with respect to the equity and debts, both of them are less risky. I will hand over the session back to Mr. Adam for investment returns.
Thank you, Sherry. Alright guys, let's talk about the investment return. AirAsia has come up with 6 long-term or short-term investment. So of course, Mr. Tony Fernandez, the CEO of AirAsia Berhad, come up with 100 million packs travel with AirAsia in 2019 at the end of this year. Second, we introduced Rocky Wi-Fi to all aircraft. So that this is one of the marketing strategy to attract more people to travel with Asia with Wi-Fi services in the air. And third one is Big Pay, which is you can purchase your ticket using so many ways, and one of it is Big Pay. And obviously, for passenger who register Big Pay, they definitely get some discount rate. Okay, besides these two digital services, Rocky and also Big Pay, we have a lot more to come, such as a Red Bill program or Red Bill venture. And this company is subsidiary company under Asia, do provide a lot of digital services for our customers, or Asia for that matter. And the face recognition, I tried it, and this is really super and really awesome. And this face recognition, they will introduce it to every Asia passenger. And of course, last but not least, this is their marketing strategy. Asia has introduced, which is media social, and they will cover a lot of media social in Malaysia. Okay, from investment return, let's move on to debt financing. And before I go into detail what is debt financing for Asia, let's start. In 2015, Asia had more than 10.5 million in debt. Why? Because Hazana took over from MH, and once they took over from MH, Hazana controlled all the route, and thus affect AirAsia route as well. And in 2013, 31st December, AirAsia debt is 64.2%, and they plan to change debt to equity. And Asia, they had to close up in Indonesia and also Philippines. And by closing this hub, then only the debt increased to 72.4% in 2014. And this is where the debt financial comes in, and they come up with 2 debt financial, which is Hijrah and also Community Warabah. What are those 2? It's on in the report. We elaborate more detail for that.
Go.
So when Asia taking debt financing, definitely there will be advantage and disadvantage. Let's look. We come up with 3 points of advantage. The first one, complete control. So the advantage of taking debt financing, of course, they can control the cash flow of the company, retaining profit, obviously, and tax deduction. And they can escape from paying a lot of debt by taking this debt financing. So, okay, now let's look disadvantage of taking debt financing. We come up with 3 points also. First one is limited accessibility. Obviously, limited accessibility to secure loan and repayment. Repayment require company to generate enough cash, and of course, cash flow committing to a loan repayment affect the cash flow. Okay, let's move on to question number 5, which consists of dividend policy. So I should pass to my groupmate, Mr. Berhad, for the next slide.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. So now I would like to share with you regarding the dividend policy of the company Asia Group Berhad and also Asia X. So what is the dividend policy? Dividend policy is actually a cash return that the company gives to their stockholders. So let me see how cash return to its owner, and either they pay dividend or not. Last step for Asia X and Asia Group Berhad. For Asia X, no dividend paid to stockholders and no buyback stock. While for Asia Group Berhad, they give their stockholders dividend. Okay, so now we see how about the cash accumulated over the time for both company, and if the firm has excess cash, how the recommendation that we can give to the company in cash return to their stockholders. Okay, in terms of the total cash accumulated for Asia X and Asia Group Berhad, Asia Group Berhad earn more cash compared to Asia X, which is that we can see from the 2016 and 2017, the Asia Group Berhad total cash accumulated is 1.4 billion and 1.2 billion, which is more higher to the Asia X. Alright, and then how about if let's say this company has an excess cash? Okay, any recommendation that we can give to the company? Yes, but it's based on 2 possible scenarios. And if let's say the projects that the company invests in terms of project is good, so let's say we assume that the company give the dividend to their stockholders less than free cash flow to the equity, so the firm actually have an total cash, but actually the company would plan to reinvest the cash to another future project. But investors might wonder why they didn't take the project in the current period. Okay, if let's say in the for the second scenarios, if let's say poor projects, it might be the company would give the dividend paid less than free cash flow to the equity. In these scenarios, the firm will also accumulate cash, but the firm will find themselves under pressure because the cash that they earn, they need to cover up their in terms of finance for projects. In terms of stockholders, the stockholders will give pressure to the company because they might be wonder why the company give them lower dividend paid. Alright, now I would like to share how the company gets the cash. So actually, the total cash accumulated is calculated from the net cash generated from operating activities minus to net cash used in investing activities minus net cash used in financing activities plus with the cash equivalent at the beginning of the financial year, and also lastly is minus the currency translation differences, and they can get the total cash accumulated, which is this one for the 2016 and also 2017. Okay, for this slide, this slide is actually same goes to the previous slide, which is calculation for the total cash accumulated previously for Asia X, but now it's for Asia Group Berhad. So the total cash accumulated for the Asia Group Berhad we can see here for 2016 and for 2017. Okay, now how much the cash returned to its stockholders over the last few years? Is it sufficient? And if not, how much? So for Asia X, for 2016 and 2017, there is no dividend returned to stockholders. Okay, we can see from the annual report, which is from the director's statement, mentioned that there is no dividend has been paid or declared by the company since the end of the 2016 financial year. And the directors also mentioned that they do not recommend the payment of any dividend for the financial year ended 31st December 2017. While for the Asia Group Berhad, they give their stockholders a cash return. So for the year 2016, the cash return to stockholders is 1.1 million. For the year of 2017, the cash return to stockholders is 8.0 million. The funds returning to their stockholders in the form of dividends or stock buybacks, but we need to determine whether they are returning too much or too little. So for the case in Asia Group Berhad, they managed to return the cash to their stockholders in a great ratio and possible ratio. So the amount of cash return in the form of dividend is sufficient enough actually. So they paid one third from the total cash available to the stockholders, and they saved actually 2/3 from it to reinvest into another good future project. And regarding the dividend policy itself of the firm, either we would like to encourage the firm to change its dividend policy or not. Actually, we suggest that the company need to remain their dividend policy, because the dividend policy of the Asia Group Berhad, not for the Asia X, because the Asia X just now didn't give any dividend. For Asia Group Berhad, they need to maintain their dividend policy, which is the dividend policy is actually beneficial to their stockholders, and we would like to encourage the company to maintain their dividend policy. Alright, so they have been issued out a positive dividend policy in order to sustain their existing stockholders, and also in the future they want to attract the new stockholders. Okay, I will pass to my group mate to explain about the next topic.
Well, here I'm going to explain briefly about the financial health of both of the company, Asia X and Asia Group Berhad. Both turn out to be profitable. You can see this is the figures they have, but the only difference is the high operational costs incurred by Asia X, which made them fall back by 120%. And we couldn't get the depreciation and also taxation amount from the annual report, so henceforth that's why this part is remaining empty. So if you can see, Asia Group Berhad is doing way better than Asia X. So in terms of profitability ratio, I chose 4 of them, which is gross profit margin, net profit margin, EBITDA, and also return on asset. As you can see, based on the previous slide, Asia Group Berhad were doing so well and they managed the cost very sufficiently, which resulted in a high profit, which results all the yellow numbers, which is 10 times higher than Asia X. In terms of liquidity ratio, which is short-term liquidity ratio, I chose current ratio and quick ratio. Same again, in terms of the balance sheet wise, Asia Group Berhad, they were more sufficient, effective, which they have high receivables and low payables, which why the numbers driven is as such. Leverage ratio, all 4, debt to asset, debt to equity, debt to capital, and debt to asset to equity value. And here you can see a difference in both sides, whereby Asia X is managing their debt very well as compared to Asia Group Berhad. In terms of equity wise, they're doing quite well also. And finally, Asia X hold the upper hand in terms of asset to equity ratio, where this is the ratio given. And the yellow ones shows the higher compared to the other ones. And finally, asset management ratio, these are turnover days, which is receivable turnovers, and also inventory, fixed asset. Here, both are doing similarly well, except for Asia X, they are collecting the receivable in a very high pace. That's why these numbers are driven and it's higher than Asia Group Berhad. And finally, total asset turnover, both of them, it's a significant difference from Asia X and also Asia Group Berhad, which means Asia X are utilizing their asset very well, which comes out the profit.